Hello, my sewing friends. My name is Leah Day, and we are sewing bell-bottom jeans today. You're going to take a pair of existing jeans you already love, cut them open, create a flare insert, and play with some decorative stitches. So let's get started sewing a pair of bell-bottom jeans. So let's get started by putting on the jeans and placing a pin on the leg where you want the bell to begin. Place this point higher for a dramatic look or lower for a smaller flare. When in doubt, mark the spot near your knee as that often looks best. Take off your pants and measure the side seam. You'll want both legs to be ripped open to the same point, so measure and move the pins so they match. Now for the most tedious part of this tutorial, ripping open the side seams of the jeans. Using a sharp seam ripper, dig into the seam and rip the stitches around the hem. This is the hardest part, so take your time. Turn the jeans inside out and locate the stitching on the sides. Most jeans are chain stitched, so if you rip the stitches carefully, you should be able to unravel the chain stitch. Sometimes this will unravel down the leg, sometimes up the leg. Just play with it until you find the right angle and you can pull out the stitches very quickly. Carefully pick out the stitches close to your pin and the top part of your bell bottom. You don't want to rip past this point. Tie off the loose threads with an overhand knot and secure them in place. Now let's prepare our bell bottom insert. I cut up another pair of jeans by cutting off all the seams and pockets and ended up with 4 large pieces of denim fabric. To add extra decoration, I decided to play with the decorative stitches built into my Singer heavy-duty machine. These are the built-in decorative stitches that come in your machine, and we don't often get a chance to use them. To begin using these designs, you can use this tool I've created, the Decorative Stitch Swatcher. This allows you to test 9 designs and settings on a small scrap of fabric to see what looks best. This also allows you to see if you're going to need stabilizer for your project. Great news! When stitching on denim material, you don't need any additional stabilizer. Lacey helped me test the designs, and we generally like the 4mm width for these stitches, so they stand out nicely on the denim fabric in white isocord thread. After testing the decorative stitches, I marked gently curving lines on the denim fabric with the mini slide ruler. Lacey followed the marked lines with different decorative stitches. This was her first experience sewing decorative stitches, and the biggest tip here is to let the machine do the work and feed the fabric through. Go slow and just use your fingertips to steer the fabric to follow the marked line. Now with our fabric ready, it's time to make our sewing pattern. I have a new diagram for this pattern available at leahday.com/bell. To make your bell bottom sewing pattern, measure from the hem to the pin on your pants. This is the pattern height. Mark this line horizontally across your graph paper. Now decide how wide you want the flare to be. For less drama, make this measurement narrower. For more flare, make this measurement wider. Whatever the measurement, center your ruler over the height line and mark the width measurement perpendicular to the first. Using a long ruler, connect the endpoints of the lines to create a triangle. Now let's add seam allowance. This is a 1/2 inch added to the pattern, which is taken away when we sew the seams. If you prefer the standard sewing seam allowances of 5/8 of an inch, you can use that too. I just usually design my patterns with a narrower 1/2 inch seam allowance to save fabric. Now let's design the hem. Bell bottoms can be tricky to hem, and you'll want extra space here. I recommend adding a 2-inch hem allowance. We might not use this fabric, it might end up getting cut off, but it's good to have it if you need it. Above the pattern, we won't need all of the extra fabric extending beyond the tip of the triangle. Measure 1 inch above the triangle tip and draw a perpendicular line. As with all sewing patterns, make sure to record notes like the name, seam allowance, hem allowance, and number of pieces to cut. You can save this little pattern piece and easily make more bell-bottom jeans anytime you like. Now, if you're enjoying this tutorial, I would really love it if you would post a comment or if you have a question in the comment section below on YouTube. That really helps my video out a lot. It also helps me know where I might have missed a step within this tutorial. So it helps everybody out get their questions answered, and it lets me know that you're enjoying this tutorial. Of course, you can also follow along with this project at leahday.com/bell. That is where you're going to find the schematic for the sewing pattern, as well as lots more details that I couldn't fit within the video. So definitely come and check that out at leahday.com/bell. And now back to the tutorial. With that done, our pattern is complete. Cut out the sewing pattern with your rotary cutter or scissors, then cut out 2 fabric panels. Now let's glue our fabric panels in place. This is a technique called glue basting, and it makes it so much easier to sew our bell bottoms. To do this, first turn your jeans wrong side out and arrange one flare insert over the opening ripped in the pants leg. Another important tip, we want a crisp fold in the jeans seam allowance. If the jeans are very soft and the seam allowance unclear, fold the edge over and spray starch on the fabric. Press with a hot, dry iron. This will stabilize the edge and make that fold much easier to see and sew later. Starting at the top tip of the bell bottom opening, align and glue the insert in place. I'm using Elmer's school glue in a microtip bottle to apply a thin line of glue along the folded edge of the jeans. This glue basting technique gives us so much more control over the fabric, and it makes sewing in tricky seams like the tip of this point so much easier. Only run about 2 inches of glue at a time, then arrange the fabric panel on top and press with a hot, dry iron to dry the glue. Repeat down the folded edge, applying only about 2 to 3 inches of glue in a line, place the fabric on top, and then press to dry. Repeat with the opposite edge. With the insert glued in place, you can carefully turn the jeans right side out and try them on to check the look. If you need to make an adjustment, it's a lot easier to rip the pieces apart right now rather than having to pick out the seams. Now it's time to sew. Take your bell-bottom pants to your machine. Arrange the project so you can stitch along the folded edge of the jeans. This should catch both the flare insert and the jeans at the same time. Backstitch at the beginning and end of the seam to secure it. Once you stitch both sides, switch to a zigzag stitch. You can test your zigzag on a little scrap like I did just to double check your settings. I ended up setting my stitch length to 1.5 millimeters and my stitch width to 5 millimeters, and I zigzagged along both edges. We finished the edges like this because denim fabric is very prone to fraying. Trim off any extra fabric extending beyond the zigzag stitch with sharp scissors. Now technically this is stitched and you're done, but the seam allowances within the pants may stick out awkwardly and brush against your legs. I like to encourage the seams to lay flat with an extra line of top stitching. When sewing like this, we are sewing along the folded edge of the jeans, stitching through the jeans and the seam allowances within at the same time. This forces the seam allowances to lay flat and will make your bell bottoms flow much better around your legs. This will feel challenging, especially when you reach the tightest spot around the point of the flare. Notice how I manage the bulk around my presser foot. I only worry about flattening out the area 1 to 2 inches in front of my foot. After stitching an inch, I wiggle the fabric around again. Work slowly and stop often with your needle in the down position. You could also use more decorative stitches for this stitching, but I like the look of blending the stitching with blue thread on the denim material. Take your time and one stitch at a time from the bottom up, pivot at the tip, and stitch down the opposite side. With the top stitching done, our new bell bottoms are complete. This tutorial ran much longer than I expected, so I've shared a second video on how to hem your jeans. In this video, you can see all of the steps to trying on your pants, checking the fit, folding and pressing the hem, and stitching it on the Singer Heavy Duty. So that's it for the sewing tutorial. You can learn more about the sewing machine that I used in this video at leahday.com/4432. This is a Singer Heavy Duty sewing machine. It is very affordable, but has a much more powerful motor than other machines at this price point. And what I love about it is that even sewing through all of these layers of denim, it did just fine. At no point did I worry or have it gag up on me, and I didn't break a needle or anything scary like that either. So I hope that you'll come and check out this machine at leahday.com/4432. Until next time, let's go sew.